Greetings and welcome to the Fan Perspective. I'm your host Nathan Isle, and this is WNBA Weekly, the show where Mondays I go over everything that's happened in the past week in the association and everything I'm looking forward to in the upcoming week. The All-Star game has concluded, every team returns to action, and it was supposed to be every team playing 3 games. One of the games ended up getting canceled though, the Mystics versus the Sun. There was a leak in the roof, so they ended up having to cancel that game. They're supposed to reschedule it for a later time, something that suits both of their schedules. And so those two teams, because they didn't face each other, they get to go undefeated this week, as well as the Lynx and the Sparks. So there you go, the top 4 teams in the league stay undefeated this week. Meanwhile, the 10th, 11th, and 12th place teams, Chicago, Indiana, and San Antonio, completely winless this week. There is definitely a huge divide between the top and the bottom. Everyone is pretty much solidified in their positions, with just a little bit of shuffling in the middle, as I say. And with the Fever and Stars, I expected this. The Sky, I'm a little disappointed. That being said, all 3 of their games this week were against teams with winning records. And it's not like they got completely destroyed by 50 points in every game. They were very tough losses, single digits each time, and you saw them playing well. Vandersloot had a couple of double-doubles. You saw some big games from Quigley and Dolson, and it's just they're playing well, but they happen to be against some teams that play a little better. I think one of the biggest news stories in the league this week is that there were 2 triple-doubles, although only one of them is still standing. Laisha Clarendon had a triple-double, but a couple of days later it ended up being rescinded. The league reviewed the game and realized that 2 of the assists were wrongly credited. They took those away from her. And so now Candace Parker stands as the official 6th triple-double of all time. And it's not the first time that's happened either. This happened twice last year with Brittney Griner and Angel McCoughtry. And a lot of people are upset, disappointed by it. I can understand from the perspective of the players and the fans, you might not like that. But me personally, I think the process could be handled a little better, but I like that you're able to do that. I say get it right. I know there are times when I care about the stats. A lot of people don't, but I care about the stats, and I'll be watching the games, and you'll see someone, they pass it to a player, the player takes 2 or 3 dribbles and then shoots, and that's credited as an assist, when really it shouldn't be. I can understand why many people are unhappy about this situation, but I personally like the fact that the league takes the time to get things right. Since we're talking about the stats right now, I'd like to take just a quick second to mention that Sue Bird is less than 50 assists away from passing Keisha Pinachero for first all time. So it's very likely to happen this month. But yeah, for the rest of August, I'm going to be paying close attention to every single Storm game. I'm going to be honest, I don't care if the Storm lose every single game from here to the end of the season. As long as Sue gets that record, it's all good. So after all of this week's excitement, here are your current standings. So this week's action, it's a little more spread out, so hopefully it'll be slightly less hectic than this week was. You've got the Connecticut Sun have the easiest week. They only play 1 game. The San Antonio Stars play 3 games, and everyone else only plays 2. You've got the Sun, the Stars, the Fever, and the Wings. They're at home all week. You've got Liberty, the Dream, the Mercury, and the Storm that are all on the road this week. I know I said this before the All-Star break. I might have been only slightly wrong, but the Chicago Sky are the team that I'm looking at this week. They just had 3 straight games against playoff teams with winning records, and now they're going to play the next 3 games against teams in the lottery. Asterisk, because the Atlanta Dream, technically I think they officially hold the 8th seed right now, but they have the exact same record as the Storm, so they might be technically in the lottery by the time we get to this game. The Sky, they've continued playing well. They had some tough losses against some of the top teams. I think they're going to look to rebound this week against the worst teams in the league. During the week, it's going to be a little slow going. You've only got two games being played. First of all, Tuesday, you've got the Stars versus the Liberty at 8 o'clock on NBA TV. And then Thursday, you've got the Dream versus the Lynx at 8 o'clock on ESPN2. And then over the weekend, you only have 3 games where both of the teams competing have winning records. You've got the Mercury versus the Sun and the Sparks versus the Liberty, both of those on Friday. And then on Sunday, you've got the Mercury versus the Mystics. And I'm interested in both of those games because you notice how the Mercury, they're facing the 2 top teams in the East. And they've got a couple of elite centers in Jonquel Jones and Elena Delle Donne. So it'll be interesting to see if the Mercury can handle that. On Friday, you've got a doubleheader on NBA TV, the Mystics versus the Stars at 8, and the Liberty versus the Sparks at 10:30. On Saturday, you've got the Stars versus the Storm on Twitter. Then on Sunday, a couple of games on NBA TV. You've got Mercury versus Sun at 3, and Lynx versus Fever at 6. So that's it for this edition of WNBA Weekly. The month of July is over. Tune in next week, August 7th, for the all-new episode of WNBA Weekly. And until then, this has been the Fan Perspective. I'm your host, Nathan Al. Hope you have a good week.